What if life is actually simple? That's that's an inquiry that I very often dwell in, and very often like it resurfaces into my awareness. What if life is actually simple? And the way it resurfaces oftentimes is through my experiences, and one of which I just had, and it was somatic therapy session with my friend coach, who was guiding me through a body-based practice into, deeper understanding of self, and our unconscious patterns of workings, and I stumbled again into this notion of what if life is actually very simple. And it was very, very simple. And yet it was so fucking complicated and complex. I will start by saying there's a notion that when you are, on personal growth, spiritual journey, as you get more self-aware, and smart, and you begin to see more than a normal person would in life. You can see your blind spots and ways of being and behaving and reacting, whatnot. As you get more clever, smart, and self-aware, so does your self-sabotaging mechanisms do become more sophisticated. And so, as we're kind of leveling up, so does our self-sabotage patterns level up. And the one that I saw, that it was so fucking painful to admit to myself when I saw it, because it felt like such a low level behavior that I'm like, surely, it cannot be that. So the session started with the memory of the recent somatic experience that I had, in response to the accidental fire that I made in a hotel, that triggered the memory of my past house burning down, that created this inner anxiety. And so I brought that into session. I was like, I have something juicy, let's look into that. And we started looking into that, and I had my body, like, I had some response, but there wasn't much there. And I think partly it's because in the moment I managed to process a lot, with the tools that I had. And so, we're sitting there, like, I'm responding. There was a little bit of clearing, and then one thing led to another, led to another, led to another. And my body is guiding through these different memories and sensations in the body. And the last thing we stumbled into was coffee. My innocent coffee addiction. And there was so much resistance to acknowledge that, like, that's the thing that I'm using to fuck around at the moment. I've used food in the past, I've used, alcohol, I've used so many different things, and it's now I don't, like, these things are no longer there. And so there's this energy of self-sabotage that manifests in different expressions. For different people it's different expressions, and as we grow and evolve through them, like, that energy is still moving, I guess, until it gets over time dissolved, dissipated, whatnot. If it does, I don't even know. Anyway, and so my energy at the moment is stuck in fucking around with coffee. I would really overindulge in caffeine. It doesn't work for my body, and I just keep having it and having it and having it, and in and out and in and out, and just this continuous fucking around. And so we're sat there, and my body is going through this, like, purgatory sensation of, like, wanting to release something from my body, and so my coach is prompting me, and I'm seeing how coffee is in my awareness, but my mind's like, nah, it's not coffee, it cannot be that simple, it cannot be that easy. And so we started looking, and once I was humble enough to acknowledge that level 1 first graders obstacle, a coffee addiction, is actually my current kind of blocker to the next level of me. When I was humble enough to acknowledge that, that made a huge difference, and I was happy about that. But it took so much, like really humbling myself, because I think of myself, as the spiritually evolved, self-aware, IQs through the roof, and we're talking about coffee, like a very simple thing. Like, who cannot quit coffee? Like, what? It's just coffee. I did ayahuasca retreats. I did darkness retreats. I went to the, like, I'm so fucking evolved. And to admit to myself that coffee is actually my current, like, way to fuck around. Literally just that. It's a way for me to fuck around. And it's so subtle, it's so innocent, that going back to what I was saying, how our self-sabotage mechanisms become more subtle and more sophisticated. And seeing that was quite liberating. I saw also, what is it that I actually need to and want to do next. But yeah, just wanted to share that, as we grow and evolve, so does our self-sabotage mechanisms do. And so it really requires being humble to recognize, and if there's something, in your life that you think, no, it's just a small thing, it cannot be that, it may well be that, so don't overlook that. So that's that, and I hope it served in any way, shape, or form. Maybe another thing I will just add is really becoming present to the power of somatic therapy. And it's basically a body-based therapy that you don't necessarily, in a normal therapy, you would go into your mind, into memories, like it can be quite mental. Somatic means like body-based, so really you are delving deep into your body, and like the coach is prompting you into self-inquiry through the body, what is the sensation and this and that, and it's just so fucking profound. So I'm just really becoming present to the fact of how profound our bodies are and how much wisdom there is, and one of the things my coach said that really like struck a chord for me at the very end of our session was, how to illustrate how much intelligence there is in the body, while, the mind is also holding the intelligence. There's a body intelligence, there's a heart intelligence. And, if everything would be logic based, then it would be like, it would be simple, right? So I came very logical into my session about the fact that I want to explore this fire incident that happened in my childhood that still was alive in my nervous system, and that just led to something else. And this acknowledgement, that if it would be all intellectual and mind-based, I would have had a profound opening in what I came with in the fire experience, but I didn't have that. Like I was done with that, and my inner, like my body, my inner wisdom led me to actually what it is that I needed to look at. And I think oftentimes our minds are so fucking clever, and in the normal therapy and talking, we're so fucking sneaky. We can just like talk ourselves out of anything and justify about everything and just be so clever about things that I guess it doesn't go as deep, or I'm just realizing like how much more deeper we can go with somatic therapy. So that's my little rant and promotion of, you know, if you've never looked into that, it's really powerful. If you actually are experiencing any blocks in your, if you are like going into therapy and you're seeing like you're going years and years and years and there's like not much going on, it's almost like when you do somatic therapy, it's like you unplug something deeper and it's just like so that's me and that's that, and I hope it served in some way, shape or form, and if it did, let me know, and we'll speak to you later.